Extreme geeky video alert! Today we're going to be messing around with 80s electronics for the home market. There's going to be soldering irons, schematics, guitar riffs, and the odd dodgy Star Wars reference! I'm starting my my commute to work. As you can already see, I'm finding it hard to contain my excitement. Like last night I saw The Future from 1987. A guitar that not only makes guitar sounds that don't really sound much like guitars, but also other instrument sounds too. This musical instrument that looks like it's from a galaxy
far, far away,
and has the potential to control other instruments with the Force, or MIDI, is of course the Casio DG10. Casio are well known for its cheap keyboards that made it possible for the average person back in the 80s to own something that resembled a synthesizer. An instrument that normally carried a high price tag, but, does anybody remember Casio guitars? Yeah, Casio made a line of guitars that had the same ubiquitous plastic exterior to its keyboards and the same lo-fi PCM sounds. But, did they ever catch on? Probably not. Of the era, there were more high-end guitar synths that existed, which used special pickups and electronics to convert the string vibration into MIDI data. The Casio guitar works a bit differently and possibly more effectively. The fretboard of the guitar has a rubber membrane with lots of switches underneath it that works more like a conventional keyboard. The notes are then triggered by striking the strings. So, how exactly does this guitar, Darth Vader's axe, actually sound like? Doing a YouTube channel that nobody watches, There you go.
This is interesting.
It's like
Am I missing a piece?
Darth Vader's axe.
Okay, hold on a minute. So we've got writing upside down and writing not upside down. It's a bit out of tune.
Alright, so I thought I'd bring this beast into our place of work and give it to somebody who can actually play guitar.
Ready?
Better than I can. So what do you reckon, Cal?
This is weird.
Quite like the mandolin setting on this. So you're actually kind of getting it to respond quite well. It sounds like it's almost
You can't bend.
tracking. No, you can't bend, yeah.
So it doesn't like that. And some glides.
Yeah, well, the fretboard's kind of like, it's basically just a keyboard.
You have to be
Really precise.
yeah. Yeah, the velocity's a bit interesting as well. You can play dive straights on that sound.
went some overdrive there. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
There was like also a version of this guitar that's got MIDI on it as well.
Oh, as in like you can send it out.
Yeah, it's like literally
okay, yeah.
exactly the same guitar, but it's got MIDI on it. So that's kind of what I was hoping to do with this one, is sort of modify it so it's got the MIDI on it. Because I think internally it's exactly the same.
Exclusively for nylon strings.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because you can feel that the strings aren't kind of like tight. They're not like that. It doesn't have the.
It's
the
all
pressure
fluffy.
on it.
It's like a.
But you can like what this one's kind of like tighter than this one, and it kind of like doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think you can sort of put some kind of tension on it. It's got like these little Floyd Rose style.
Yeah. It's really funny, like you mess something up, but it plays it right, and then you play something right, and it messes it up. It's like,
Wow.
it's a bit backwards. Like there was a little lick I just did there that I was like, nah, there's no way I hit that.
Maybe Casio were onto something here in 1983.
Like that. It's not a note I just hit. I wonder if it handles capos.
What do you reckon these are worth nowadays?
How much would I pay for it? Oh well, it's got to be a collector's. Has to be a collector's. When was it from?
1983.
1983. Doesn't even say on the back here either.
That's quite. It's like what, 37 years old?
Yeah. Well, it's got to be worth a bit, hasn't it? I probably wouldn't pay much for it, to be honest. But I can imagine it's probably going to go for. Oh, it's hard to say more than £200, but I know it's going to be a lot more than that. How much do they go for?
Well, let's have a look on eBay. On eBay. Oh. Average price seems around about £230 for one that works.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they would be much more like vintage collectors, expensive kind of
Yeah.
price range. I was expecting maybe a couple of grand.
Oh. Well, the DG20, which has got MIDI, probably goes for more. Yeah. So the DG20 got one that's gone for £440 here.
Ooh, it's worth double the price. Isn't it? This is fun though. It's fun when it kind of works.
Do you reckon it would be more fun if you had like some like really decent synth sounds?
Yeah, definitely,
with it.
because you've only got 2 acoustic guitars, 2 electric guitars, a distortion, a funky clav. Yeah.
That's kind of a funky clav without the funk.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe put that through like a wah-wah pedal.
That'd be fun. Then they've got a glockenspiel / crystal.
Ooh. Nice.
Glockenspiel. The mandolin. That's not the mandolin.
Is that like a shamisen?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
You couldn't make a sort of a Japanese instrument without that on it.
Yeah. And then you've got your jazz organ. Trumpet.
Kind of a similar vibe to them, these sounds.
Exactly. And then that's it.
Yeah.
And then you've got your rhythm section, you've got your rock. You've got pops. Country.
It's all the rhythms straight out of the Casio home keyboards of the era.
Your swing. Bossa Nova. Waltz. 16 beat. Yeah. Do reggae. Enka. Blues. Yeah, that sounds pretty bluesy. Slow rock. Oh, ballad.
Stadium rock.
Yeah, get your meatloaf on. Tango. It's got a solo button here. What do you think that is?
Ah, that's like monophonic mode, I think.
So,
Single notes.
yeah, that's single notes for sure. You got your tempo up, your tempo down, and then your transpose, which is going to be fun. Now, where was it?
Yeah. If you like went to a gig and like saw a band playing one,
No.
what,
I'm walking out.
you'd be like, no, that's not cool.
But unless you're like an 80s glam rock cover band, then maybe you can get away with it.
Or some kind of East London hipster band.
Yeah, I guess so. Could probably see that happening.
Yeah.
Is that a hint? Are you telling me this is what you do?
I've never used this in a live performance.
But you're not writing it off.
Yeah. Post-ironic, man. Post-ironic.
Oh, this is like it's half mixture of like awful and really fun. because like, it just doesn't play the way you want it to, or the way you're expecting it to respond. But it is fun.
So essentially, like when you've mastered playing real guitar, once you got like really good at it, you can't get any better. This thing presents a new challenge. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. But like a stupid challenge, a challenge that you're not going to be able to master.
Yeah. So the Casio DG10 doesn't actually come with MIDI out, but internally it's very similar to the more luxurious model, the DG20. You know, in fact, the service manual actually covers both models, and looking at the schematics, we can see basically where to wire up a MIDI DIN socket. Okay, so we've got like, you know, this schematic here, which I found on the internet somewhere, and we're looking at the CPU here, and this pin here, pin number 17, is actually the MIDI data out, and it goes to this buffer here. The buffer just, I think, kind of boosts the signal from that microcontroller up a bit more, so it will work better with your MIDI interface. So yeah, we're going to scroll up here, and we're now looking at the schematic for the DG10. That other one was the DG20. It's very similar. You've got another CPU here, but as you can see when we get to the buffer there, it terminates. There's nothing coming out of there. So this is where our modification begins. Yeah, looking at some other interesting stuff here. You've got like an analog sort of chorus circuit and like a distortion circuit built in here, so you know. Okay, I'm just gonna ad-lib some dodgy voiceover on this thing, and you know, we're just about to get ready to modify this thing, put some MIDI on it. You know, first of all, you need to disassemble your guitar. You need to get all these screws out of here. You gotta, you know, disassemble this sucker. I really should have made this part of the video a little bit shorter, you know, because like this is taking forever. Okay, this looks like it's the final screws. Let's get the screws out of this thing. Everything from the 80s has got like millions of screws in it. Okay, so next thing you want to do is get that cable out the way, and then lift this piece of cardboard off, and then this main board is held down with some plastic standoffs. Just squish them and pull the board up. Looking at this circuit board here, and that's the model number printed on the board there, the board revision rail. Okay, so the two things we're most interested in here is the bottom two chips. It's that big one, that's the CPU, and next to it is the buffer. Okay, I'm counting the pins on the back of the board here of the CPU to up to pin 17. That's where the MIDI is. That's the MIDI data, and then I'm just gonna trace out with my continuity meter to the buffer. And there's the input to the buffer right there. And then I'm gonna get to the output here and find a convenient trace on the board where I can stick a cable through for the MIDI data. So round about there is that one. That sucker right there, that's where you wanna put your MIDI data. Okay, so I'm over here on sparkfun.com, tutorials, MIDI-tutorials, hardware, electronics, implementation. And what we're looking at right here is a MIDI socket, and this is the pin out here. So pin number 5 here, this is a data pin. Pin number 2 in the middle here, this is your ground pin. Pin number 4 here, this is your 5 volts. Okay, so let's scroll down here, and as you can see, we've got a little table here which confirms those pins there. Right, okay. So what we want to look at here on this chart is this bottom one at the MIDI out, because this is, pretty much what we're going to be putting into our Casio DG10. Okay, and as you can see, there's 2 resistors here, 220 ohms. On the 5 volt rail and the data rail. Cable, you're gonna need some cable. MIDI DIN socket, you're gonna need a MIDI DIN socket. Okay, so I'm just gonna chop some cables to length. We've got like a green one for the data, and we've got a black one for the ground, and then we're gonna solder those on there. And this job could be made a lot easier if you've got one of them helping hand things, because your hands are all shaky and everything goes everywhere. Okay, just putting a bit more solder on here, and that's the 5 volts. The positive that's gone on there. Okay, so we're looking back at the board here. And I'm just pulling the data cable through a little hole here that we can attach that to and solder it down with. What we're gonna do is solder that ground cable on. I'm gonna solder that sucker on there. Yep, that's pretty good. That's down, and then that's where you want to put your 5 volts. This pin attaches to the 5 volts of the CPU. And yeah, there you go. We're gonna solder that sucker down. Okay, once you've done all that, you just wanna, reassemble your board. And we're gonna give this thing a test. There we go, there's a MIDI DIN cable and it's gone into our interface. Let's give this thing a test, and of course you cannot see the MIDI activity light blinking at all. But trust me, it's working, because here we can see it in Logic. Okay, so move that cable out the way. We're about to do some drilling. I'm going to drill in a hole to put the MIDI DIN socket in. Now, of course, you want to actually attach your MIDI DIN socket to the guitar before you solder the cables to the main board. And there we go. We're just going to tighten down these suckers, and then we're ready to rock. yeah, okay, so well done if you made it through the whole video. Thanks for watching. It got pretty long. It probably got a bit boring. You know, I'm not sure. And yeah, that accent, that voiceover accent, I'm not really sure what that was all about, but hey, you know, yeah, you know, subscribe, leave a comment, like, if you want to. Cheers, bye.